Hey, good morning, guys. I just got out of jail, so setting up the multi-monitor is not on my priority list. GameStop actually looked pretty attractive. 31% rebate, pretty good. Don't turn me back to the old me. I don't want to go back to the old me. The old me got me in jail. I'm trying to change my life for the better. Oh yeah, I gotta change some of my permissions so I can trade Japan and stuff like that. Let me fix this up. Thanks, meme maker. I'm more gangsta. You don't want to be a gangster, you know. I mean, a lot of people say gangster like it's some cool thing, and you don't. You know, it's cool being home with your family and your friends. That's what's cool. I'm trying to be a gangster. You know what I mean? Proxy advisors, yeah, you could probably get by without even understanding them. I don't think they're that important. Yeah, this is for my comp trading competition with Matt Kors, which starts on Monday. It's $50,000. Whoever can double $50,000 the fastest. It's a bit silly, but it should be fun. I want to show him that I'm that guy. That's the important thing here. To set up some different trading permissions and different settings. Give me a moment. When do I get to go home? Probably in like a month. I think I do have monetization turned on. Do you guys have a problem with that? Is it working? Let me see. Oh, sorry, Victoria. Or Victor. Hiya, Brandmo. I'm not home yet. I'm at a family member's house. Alright, so market looks like the market's going to be up a little bit today. Who knows? Tiny bit. Alright, let me see. How do I get these? Trading, account configuration. Data feeds. Hate all these gigantic menus. I'm gonna try to find the one thing I need. Oh man. Market data subscriptions. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, and I'm gonna enable Germany, London, and the Nordic region. Probably want France too. Sorry for the delay, guys. Back. We already have that. looks like that's real time. Cool. Perfect. Let's see what else. I think I don't have a subscription for France, right? It looks real time to me. Alright, gotta get Switzerland. Pretty important.
Autofilled.
Nice. Grown ass man. Never forget that. Okay, get the Belgium exchange. Guess that's closed today. Must be a national holiday in Belgium. Just kidding. Of course, we got bear. Bear looking like dog shit. Yeah, GSK will be interesting. That's for sure. Why does this watch list only have one column? That's weird. Bloomberg. Yeah. Interactive is not that good. I could change it. Columns or oh, there we go. Much better. I'm wearing contact lenses. Alright, so I'll put pharma here. Oh, I got the ASX. Forgot about Australia. Can't forget about Australia. Yeah, sure, I talk to the fridge all the time. I do have some astigmatism. All right, let me focus. Alright? Don't talk to me. Alright? Let me focus. It's Aladdin from BlackRock. I don't know what that is. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Because I do things my way. How about that? Oh yeah, I heard of this thing. You guys tried FinViz? Pretty good. Except for this. That's all? Market cap of team is only 47 billion? Gotta look at that. It's only US listed, I think. It's foreign domicile, but only US listing. Canada. Let's see if there's infrastructure, what they show up with here. I mean, they don't have Microsoft on this list, so I don't know. The screener is great. Let's see. Okay, well, there's Microsoft in this list. I'm not sure I would make this list the same way they do. And where's, maybe I want to see if they have Asia. Doesn't feel like they have Asia. E-commerce, I mean, what am I looking for? Retail maybe? Just retail? Don't even see that. Consumer? This is bogus. Apparel retail? I'm just gonna use Bloomberg. Specialty retail. Department stores. Amazon doesn't count, right? Yeah, it's just no bueno. Yeah, there's no Asia at all. Yeah, this is trash. This is trash. This is garbage. My friend. Garbage. Garbage. Trash. Put it in trash. No Asia, no want. Asia important. Talking Hong Kong, talking Japan. Asia #1. Asia #1. Yeah, I gave some lessons out yesterday. I think I was doing Amazon. Gotta do more Amazon. Well, okay. Cool. I need some coffee. Glengarry. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bozos. Fucking bozo. What am I doing? Did I just fuck it up? I think I just fucked it up. You guys ever divide by zero? It's a trip. It's a gateway drug. First time I divided by zero, started doing all kinds of other illegal mathematical operations. I turned pi to a rational number. Fucking took the derivative of circle. Fucked up, man. You think breaking the law is bad? Wait till you break mathematical law. Doing all kinds of non-Euclidean shit. Just violating more and more. They had to throw me in math rehab. That was bad. Gosh darn it, Bobby. Oh, I. But it can't be.
same cigarettes as me. I can't get no. Hey.
Look at how shitty Amazon's physical stores are doing. That's, I think, Whole Foods, basically, right? So they've started in Q2 19. Not started, my model starts in Q2 19. And in Q1 22, 12 quarters later, they got the same revenue. Garbage. That's what I call garbage. Garbage. Now, it's garbage. You guys know what I'm talking about? You're probably too young. First of all, if you're young, you shouldn't be watching this. This is for adults. Second of all, yeah, I said it. I don't care. Oops, what am I doing here? They used to not break it out, I guess. This used to be one thing. Ads were not broken out. That's fine. You know what? I'll put this here and I'll zero these out. Cool. Alright, let me show you some stuff, some boomer stuff, okay? I'm not even a boomer. Alright? $1967 movie.
All right, how long is this going to go on?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
What do you want to know?
I just want to know if you're going to spend the rest of your life not talking to me. And if you are, I'm going to get a radio.
You had your chance to talk last night. I begged you to come upstairs with me. Here's a key to the back door. Now, you stick to the hallway in your room and you won't get hurt.
Meaning what?
Meaning that if you want to live here, I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you, I don't want to smell you cooking, all right? Now, kindly remove that spaghetti from my poker tape. The hell is so funny?
It's not spaghetti, it's linguine.
Now it's garbage.
Now, it's garbage.
Lieutenant.
This is the other most famous scene. I mean, this one's really famous. It's a little long, but it's worth watching.
A woman in White Plains on the hook. 5 units, Mountain View, whatever. She has to check with a lawyer.
You let her check with a lawyer?
What do I do?
I don't know. Sell it. Huh?
Who's the guy?
Couldn't tell you.
I don't like the whole thing, because all I need is a lead. They won't give out. The rich get richer. That's the law of the land. Who belongs to the BM?
It is 7:30.
So who's that?
And where's Mr. Roma?
Well, I'm not a leash, so I don't know, do I? Let me have your attention for a moment. Is he talking about what? He's talking about bitching about that sale you shot, some son of a bitch trying to buy land, somebody don't want what you're selling, some broad you're trying to screw, so forth. Let's talk about something important. Are they all here?
All but one.
Well, I'm going anyway. Let's talk about something important. Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. You think I'm fucking with you? I am not fucking with you. I'm here from downtown. I'm here from Mitch and Murray. And I'm here on a mission of mercy. Your name's Levine. You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch? I don't gotta listen to this shit. You certainly don't, pal. Because the good news is you're fired. The bad news is you've got just 1 week to regain your job, starting with tonight. Starting with tonight's sit. Oh, have I got your attention now? Good. Because we're adding a little something to this month's sales contest. As you all know, first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado. Anybody want to see second prize? Second prize is a set of steak knives. Third prize is you're fired. You get the picture? You laughing now? You've got leads. Mitch and Murray paid good money. Get their names to sell them. You can't close the leads you're given. You can't close shit. You are shit. Hit the bricks, pal, and beat it, because you are going out.
The leads are weak.
The leads are weak. The fucking leads are weak. You're weak. I've been in this business 15 years.
What's your name?
Fuck you. That's my name. You know why, mister? Because you drove a Hyundai to get here tonight. I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name.
That was a lot of money
Your
in
name
that too.
is you're wanting, and you can't play in the man's game. You can't close them. Then go home and tell your wife your troubles. Because only one thing counts in this life. Get them to sign on the line which is dotted. You hear me, you fucking faggots?
Oh, whoa. Slow down, Alec. 92, that was okay.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. AIDA. Attention, interest, decision, action. Attention. Do I have your attention? Interest. Are you interested? I know you are, because it's fuck or walk. You close or you hit the bricks. Decision. Have you made your decision for Christ? And action. AIDA. Get out there. You got the prospects coming in. You think they came in to get out of the rain? A guy don't walk on the lot lest he wants to buy. They're sitting out there waiting to give you their money. Are you going to take it? Are you man enough to take it? What's the problem, pal? You, boss. You're such a hero. You're so rich. How come you're coming down and wasting time on such a bunch of bums? You see this watch? You see this watch?
Yeah.
That watch costs more than your car. I made $970,000 last year. How much you made?
Oh.
You see, pal, that's who I am, and you're nothing. Nice guy? I don't give a shit. Good father? Fuck you. Go home and play with your kids. You want to work here? Close. You think this is abuse? You think this is abuse, you cocksucker? You can't take this. How can you take the abuse you get on a sit? You don't like it? Leave. I can go out there tonight. The materials you got make myself $15,000. Tonight, in 2 hours, can you? Can you? Go and do likewise. AIDA. Get mad, you son of a bitches. Get mad. You know what it takes to sell real estate? It takes brass balls to sell real estate. don't do likewise, gents. The money's out there. You pick it up, it's yours. You don't, I got no sympathy for you. You want to go out on those ships tonight and close, it's yours. Not, you're going to be shining my shoes. And you know what you'll be saying? Bunch of losers sitting around in the bar. Oh, yeah, I used to be a salesman. It's a tough racket. These are the new leads.
These are the Glengarry
These are the
leads.
Glengarry leads. And to you, they're gold. And you don't get them. Why? Because to give them to you is just throwing them away.
Kevin Spacey, huh?
They're
The younger
for
Kevin
closers.
Spacey.
I wish you good luck, but you wouldn't know what to do with it if you got it. And to answer your question, pal, why am I here? I came here because Mitch and Murray asked me to. They asked me for a favor. I said, the real favor, follow my advice and fire your fucking ass because a loser is a loser.
Well, I think this movie was supposed to pantomime 90s corporate culture coming out of the kind of roaring 80s. That was the mentality, and as you can see, there's a lot of toxic masculinity in it. Whether you want to call it toxic or not, that's up to you. I think that there's that binary outcome of whether or not you succeed in business or you don't. You can see Alec Baldwin's character, who sort of has succeeded, and you see all these other guys who seem to be struggling, and you've got that alpha male, and then you've got everybody else. And the goal is to sort of be that large and in charge alpha male, if you will. And remember, this is a world where there's virtually only men. The world's changed a lot, but some people still live in that world. And to some extent, that world still exists and is doing fine. You know, this whole like dude, you know, graduates college or whatever, goes to New York, whatever city, tries to make a living, and not just make a living, but paint the town red. You know, you may see yourself wanting to do that. You may be in that position now, I don't know. But basically all that's on your mind is, how do I succeed? How do I make it? And that sort of crazy attitude seems really crazy, right? You start to get possessed and obsessed, and you start thinking about nothing but getting what you want. How do you get it? And I think it's fine, actually, for a little bit of time. But inevitably you have to migrate to something that's a little more important. Maybe that something is somebody like Marcella. I don't know. Maybe it's something is, having a family. Maybe it's a different passion. Computer programming, I don't know, something useful. But that like raw energy, aggression, like willing yourself to become a successful business person, it's a real thing. And again, you know, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing for the world, I don't know. But you definitely have those kinds of personas, and they can be very negative in the long run. You know, most people like that end up again, you know, certainly not well liked. But again, being liked in business is not the primary goal. It's fairly important to be liked and respected, but it's not the only thing. So anyway, interesting world if you've never seen something like that, or personalities like that, right? So I've seen my fair share. I've been that as well. So, been that kind of person, I guess. Okay, that's not what I'm looking at. There we go. Make sure I got these numbers right. Yes. And yeah, for some people for some people that's the sort of apex of masculinity. Again, you decide what that is, but the guy makes a point, you know, it's at least in the 80s and 90s, it was like, oh, you don't want to go home to your wife and kids and say, yeah, I couldn't hang with the big sales guys or the big, you know, big fish today. I'm not good enough, you know. But that's not what should make you comfortable or uncomfortable being a man, a father, a husband, whatever, or, you know, any other gender. You know, I think thankfully the world is, you can be, I think the smartest people, and I actually think about my father as well here, yeah, it's, you can still have a lot of, and I think a lot of people forget this, that how much of a good person you are and how much of a self-respect you have and things like that, just the wrong column, and how much money you make are two very different things. They don't have anything to do with each other. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you're respected or you should be respected or you're a good person. That's completely separate subjects. And to some people that's very obvious, but I think to a lot of people, like Alec Baldwin's character, you know, that's it. That's your reason for existence. That's all there is. You know, your whole identity is wrapped up in this, you know, how well can I do? And I think it's easy to forget that. As funny as it might sound to some people, like, oh, how could that be even a thought? Well, it is. For some people, that's it. Like in hedge funds, you're fairly obsessed with your annual performance and sometimes even to your monthly performance. So at the end of the year, if you ask yourself, did I have a good year? Like basically it's distilled down to a percentage number, which is kind of crazy, right? Because of all the human experiences we have, you know, how much percentage we made this year is not, should not be the one determining factor, right? I think that's sort of a pretty crazy concept, right? But for some people, that's all there is to their life, and that's sad, right? Like people who are like that, that's a shame. You know, you always hope you have something a little more important going on in your life than just some percentage number. And again, it doesn't just apply to hedge funds. There's other, you know, maybe if you're a salesperson, it's a commission number, maybe whatever it is. If you're a lawyer, it's some kind of production number. All those things are it's a little worrisome when the work world takes over your real life. There's an old book, there's a bunch of old books about this, sociological phenomenons. The Organization Man is one I read in prison. It's from the 50s. Most influential books on management ever written. Nobody's ever read it. At least these days. It's a really, really bizarre book. Best business books ever written. The 100 most influential management books you'll never have the time to read. It's probably true. I had the time to read because I went to prison. But the central tenet of the book is that the average American subscribed to a collectivist ethic rather than to the prevailing notion of rugged individualism, right? This is sort of what today you would almost call sociopathy, a term that indicates that an individual is self-reliant and independent from outside, usually state or government assistance, coined by Herbert Hoover, which is ironic. But you know, the other book is very similar book is I'll not butcher the name, so it'll probably just be right here. Let's see. There it is. The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. I was about to say The Man in the Gray Suit. And this is a novel, which is really interesting, and this is probably like inspiration in many ways for the '92 movie I just showed you, which is called Glengarry Glen Ross, I think, or Glengarry Ross. Let's see, Glengarry Glen Ross. There we go. The '92 film with Alec Baldwin, Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alan Arkin, Kevin Spacey. Amazing cast, right? So it's a novel about the American search for purpose in a world dominated by business. And these characters were really notable. This was a huge book, actually, at the time, 1955. And again, the world was struggling to reconcile this need for this American kind of profit drive, and real life. And that's what the Organization Man talks about too. And that's what the '92 film talks about. And you've seen some other exposés. I think there's some parodies like the Silicon Valley comedy. But again, you have the real world and real life. Spent some time hanging out with some 20-year-old kids and seeing recently, I call them kids, they're young adults, professionals, 25 on average, maybe 28 on average, trying to find their place in the world, and very interesting to sort of talk to them and see what's important to them, what isn't. Anyway, let's get back to this dinero. Physical stores. Yeah, Amazon has not grown that Whole Foods business at all. I don't know why they have that thing. I bet you they sell it. Divest it, spin it out, take it public. Hit the bricks, as Baldwin might say. From what I can see, completely useless to the actual business. In Q2 19. Let me just get that last quarter and then we're done. When I say done, I use that term loosely. Okay. Oops. G&A. I think I got all that. Minus 27. It should be 3061. Of course it isn't, because I messed it up again. Let's see, 86. Oh, that's an expense. Got it. Okay, 289, 257.7. 503 shares outstanding. Cool. Alright, so that's a picture of Amazon's last 14 quarters. That's pretty good. We need a picture for their next 3 quarters, which is a lot harder to get. Predicting the future is pretty tricky. We got to do our best, though. And that's why, I always say it takes 500 hours to look at a stock, which a lot of people are like, that sounds crazy. 500 hours, that's 21 days of full-time work. If I just did 1 hour a day on a stock, that would be, a year and change before I can start trading that stock. Well, you don't like it, too bad. You can do an hour every other day. You're like, well, it would take 2.5 years. Well, I got 2.5 years. Do you? I've been investing for a long time. You got to start somewhere. And the reason is, look at these quarters. You need some time to pass so you get a flavor for the tempo of the company. It's really not simple. A lot of people just want to make trades. Sometimes experience can give you a little bit of a shortcut, but even then you shouldn't be trusting your experience too much. So it's a tough business. All right, let me see here. I've been following Amazon my whole life. It was one of my first stocks I invested in, but I've not really traded it very much. I'm not really a tech guy. I wasn't. I mean, I don't know how to put that. Most of my investing experience is not in technology, but it's changing quite a bit. Okay. So 2021 is an actual. Okay. Insider buying to me is not that important. It's important contextually. It's not like useless, but you know, I don't know that there's a great read. I don't know that it's that helpful. All right, so Amazon has had this unprecedented growth slowage. I don't know. Its revenue slowed. Revenue growth has slowed down to single digits, which I think is unprecedented for them, but I gotta check. We'll go back more and more over time as we fill out the model. Let's see. Go to their annual results real quick. This is a bit of a double check as well as so 469 billion. So many billions of revenue for Amazon. It's like surreal. I mean, they're gonna ultimately have $1 trillion of revenue at some point, right? It's never been done before. So 386. Craziest thing is AWS. It's like the greatest product ever invented, right? Next to Google's ad business, maybe. All right. 386,064, that checks out. I just kind of want to make sure all these numbers check out. Technology, SNMG, interest expense, taxes, great. Cool. All right, let's see, glance at these. They look just about right. A couple of numbers don't add up for rounding, but we don't have to worry about that. Looks good, looks good. Okay. So we got full 2019, yes. Let's go Q4 2019. Okay. Okay, 232. Okay, so now this one, these we're gonna fill in manually for the annual. So for 2018, let me shrink this a little. There we go. All right, so this will be 141, 915. This will be 90, 972. Okay, these are still copy pastas. The formulas work. The formulas won't work for 18 because we don't have each quarter there. We only have one quarter there. And we don't need all those quarters, but inevitably over time I'll make a model that has all those quarters. All right, so let's see. This was 141, this was 90, 972, 3, 156, 3427. Gross margin is formula, of course. Technology and content. Remember, Amazon's doing content now. All right. Oh, the market's opening. It's more important to me to find the stock to buy than to watch the market, right? Like, what good is the market if you don't know what to buy or sell. If I'm comfortable in the buys and sells I have, I don't need to watch the market like a lunatic. But of course I'm going to take a quick glance in a minute. I just want to 35026, 25655. Okay. It's funny how AWS grows. It's really interesting. It's also funny how Amazon is not that dominant outside of the US. This is not a thing. Ooh, this is tricky. I have to actually sum these myself, I think. Let's see. No, I don't. Not yet. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. Okay. Market's up a little bit, so our long from yesterday, Google is working out. Again, I kind of want to sell it because it's up 3%. So, but, you know, like I said yesterday, the instinct that you have to fight is, oh, let me sell my long because my long is up, which is not the right instinct at all. All right, so the market's up. I think I'm gonna sell the S&P. We bought the S&P yesterday here, and now it's up here. So that worked out really well, really well, like perfect, like almost too well. So we got to sell that. Not that I don't think it's going to keep going, but I actually think the opposite. I think that's going to go down. So let's get rid of the 12 shares we have of the S&P. All right, so sell. I'm going to go to market, sell, market order, sell 12. Everything looks good.
Order
All right.
partially filled.
Oh, I sold 100.
Order filled.
I sold 100 instead of 12. So of course I messed that up again. So now I'm short way too much. I'm short $33,000 worth of S&P when I have a only have a $50,000 account here. Again, this is a small account because I'm trying to compete with this on Monday, this trading competition. Let me see here. I need unrealized P&L. There we go. All right, so I got to get out of. I wanted to short a little bit actually, but I have to get out of almost all of this. So let me cover 80. So I got to fix that mistake real quick.
Order filled.
Okay, so I only wanted to be short 8 S&P. So now I flipped from a long to a short, which is usually a bad idea, by the way. Going 100%. Going 100% backwards, right? From long to short is usually not a good idea. In my experience, usually the market will, whatever stock, not just the S&P ETF, but any stock, you know, you don't want to be flipping from long to short quickly. I think that's weird because typically you're maybe I find a way to draw what I'm talking about. This is a bad habit I have to break, so maybe I should break it now by just getting out of what I'm talking about. But you know, basically, let's say you use white. Okay, so let's say you have a stock, it's moseying along, you decide the stock's a buy and it goes up, right? So you've been kind of long throughout this period. All right, green for your position, you're long. At some point you stop being long, so now you're just say black or you're neutral. Let's call that white, a white color. Maybe yellow. Yellow means hold, and right? And then you decide to flip to red. This is sort of more normal behavior, right? Because if you look at the price, found a different color. All right, so if you look at the price, like, all right, so here up to here, this is supposed to be a straight line. So you bought down here, and it's kind of a, you felt it was a buy, as long as it's in this blue box, which means basically up to this stock price. The more important part of the box is this line, right? Up to here, it's a buy. You feel like at this price, you wouldn't buy it, right? Usually as things go up, we are less attracted to them, but that's not always true. And that after this price, right, the yellow line is really just a demarcation between yellow and red. Where above that price, you would sell it or even short it, right? So the thing that I just did, where I went from long in the green box, or the blue box, and I said, you know what, there is no yellow box, because as soon as it's above this price, I decided it's in the red box and I want to sell it and short it. That doesn't make much sense, because the yellow box represents what? The yellow box represents, to me at least, and this is my own method, nobody really talks about it this way, but the yellow box represents basically uncertainty, right? This is basically your being uncertain. And I think there's, you know, there's nobody trading who is certain of anything, right? So the idea that, like, you've gone from having a long position down here in the green box, sorry, where you're convinced that something's long, it's over here, and then all of a sudden you're convinced it's a short just because it crosses this line. That doesn't make any sense, because there has to be some period where you actually don't care, you're neutral. Right now, the difference is if it gapped up quickly, so here's another stock price chart here, where it's moseying along, okay, try that one more time. It's moseying along, and then all of a sudden it gaps up like that, right? It's not maybe the best. Let me try it again. Moseying along, and then it's a really steep increase. Well, then, remember, the x-axis is time. It may just not have spent much time in the yellow zone, nearly enough time that you would have time to even react. So then it feels like an instantaneous change is okay, because at this price you're willing to sort of, you know, change your mind. So anyway, there's some thoughts on, like, investing. So it turns out it worked out just fine. We're up again on our position, I guess. I don't understand what this daily P&L means, but oh, I think I get it now. So we're getting a little lucky here in our first couple of days trading, but again, the competition starts on Monday, so it's not haven't really gotten started yet. We're just oh, Amazon has only got till 2018. I need older than that. I have to go to the 10K probably. Nope. Marketing. Interesting. You can see the explosion of profits that Amazon had. Just look at that operating income line. Quite amazing. 79 plus 4, 493. Interesting lumpiness. Very interesting lumpiness. You could see, like, I think they were on a downtrend of growth, and then all of a sudden in 2020, the revenue increase the pandemic happened and there was a pull-in of demand, and now we're getting back to kind of, I think, that long-term trend of slowing growth. Pandemic kind of saved the day for Amazon, right? All right, back to work. Let's see here. Did we do all this? No, not yet. Yes, maybe, no. Pre-tax, correct. Right, great. AWS, 17,459,000,000. Yeah, so AWS's growth rate is kind of, it's just blistering, you know, speed. I'm not saying that the other parts of the company aren't growing fast too. They're just growing less quickly, I guess. Let me see. Let's do North America retail, I guess. And it's funny because, remember, it's not just retail, it's everything but AWS. I don't know if that's actually the best. Let's not even look at that. Let's look at just online stores. That's probably better. And then we'll do physical stores. I don't even think we have to look at it. It's too small. Third-party stores. And then I don't know what the subscription business is. Is that Alexa and probably Prime, right? That's basically their high margin business. And then ads are also high margin. Although I'm not sure Prime is high margin. I don't know. I think fulfillment costs are pretty high, but that goes in fulfillment. It doesn't go into subscription. So it's an interesting way to look at it, I guess. All right, so these I have to sum myself, which is going to be annoying, but c'est la vie. Duty calls. 26,939, 27,165, 29,061, 39,822. Physical stores. 4263, 4312, 4248, 4441. The problem is I don't have a double checker. 9265, 9702, 10395, 13383. I could just do them twice. Subscription 3102, 3408, 3698, 3959, and others, which is advertising. Okay, let's try them one more time just to make sure I didn't mess it up. I'll put them in here for now. Oops. Correct. Correct. This is like League of Legends video game. Far less exciting. Oh, did I mess this one up? I may have messed this one up. Yeah. Glad I double checked. How exciting. Alright. I guess now we have to go to the 10K. Yeah, I think we have to go to the 10K. That's fine. Yeah, I think after 12, 15 quarters, you can probably just go to the 10K. You don't have to do the quarterlies. But, sorry, hold on. I still haven't learned how to use the new sec.gov. It's not as good as the old one either. So what I could do is, so let's see, first of all, let's look up what year are we talking about. We're looking at the 2016, or maybe it's 2017, I don't know, maybe the 2016 10K, which would have come out in 2017, right? So let's see, there's the 10Q, 10Q, 10K. All right. Jeff Bezos, 53. Andrew Jassy, the current CEO. This guy is now working for, not working for, he, I guess, joined my friend's company. Amazing. Interesting board of directors. Amazing revenue growth, huh? 22, 20, 20, 27, and I mean, here's the funny part, right? It's 2013 to 2015. You figure the business has matured, it's only going to grow 22%, 20%, 20%. It's a lot of large numbers, right? How do you grow faster when the base gets bigger and bigger? Well, Amazon did that. They haven't grown 20%. They grew more than 20% for 5 years. Isn't that amazing? How surprising is that? Usually your business doesn't just all of a sudden start growing faster. It's just unheard of. That's why it's one of the most amazing companies ever created. So I have these sales numbers, it looks like, for 14, 15, and 16. 5834, 33510. And AWS was only a $4 billion business 8 years ago. Wow. Wouldn't even be a big drug company. But not many companies are going like that, going from 4 billion in revenue to 62 billion in revenue. And you could have started a cloud company back in 2014 and gotten all that revenue, split it with Amazon or whatever. But, you know, everybody said, oh, this is not going to be a big business. It's just a little thing Amazon does on the side. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. Oh, look at that. They used to break out media at part of North American sales. How nuts is that? Electronics, general merchandise. It's amazing. sounds like such a weird way to break it down. Electronics and other general merchandise. But it's interesting, you can see the media sort of slow down. Amazon sells as many books as they... How do you grow that business, you know? You only sell so many books. That's why the general merchandise is growing fast. I don't know what that other line is. Non-retail, like ads, credit card assignments. International, same concept, the media, electronics in general. Assuming the same dynamic, maybe not. Yeah, look at that, media actually dropped back then. I'm sure it's bigger now, but like, again, they kind of fully penetrated that market, saturated it. Da, 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 da. That doesn't seem right. I messed something up here. Oh, I know what. To add these 3 columns, I introduced some new columns. All right, there we go. Cool. All right, so it's time we start looking at cash flow from operations, because Amazon sort of has always been a company that wants you to look at cash flow instead of anything else. My work ethic is to work as hard as possible until my heart stops beating, until I can't work any longer. It's not good. The best part about Amazon, I think, is that they never got obsessed with share buybacks, which is something that and dilution, which is something that I struggled with. Although they kept the share count growth pretty clean. I have to admit that. Look at that AWS growth, man. Wow. Never seen a business grow like that. 70, 55, 43, 47. Crazy. Okay, everything looks good. Alright, so let's just glance at the market real quick. So I don't have a lot. We have to do some forecasts for Amazon, but this is the first stage of just kind of understanding what the heck is up with their business. So it looks like that SPY trade that I said don't do that kind of thing. Looks like we kind of got lucky there. There was a yellow zone to some extent, right? But it does look like we got lucky and the market's retracing, and I think the market will actually retrace more. So what I'm going to do is set a stop loss and actually short some more. And you noticed I shorted like 100 times more, or 10 times more, I should say. I got out of it because it was a mistake. I only wanted to short 8. If I kept that short, I would have been up a lot more. But you know, you can't think of it that way. When you make a mistake, you got to correct it. You don't just say, "Oh, let me just gamble, see what'll happen." Oh, looks like I did it again. Nope, thankfully I didn't do it again. I would have been upset if I did it again. So let's see. We think we sold at 381.17. So let's see if it goes below that. Let's set the stop at 383. All right. So if it goes up to 383, we'll cover. But if it drops some more, maybe we'll keep shorting it. If it goes, might go back down to 370, I think. Yeah, it looks like a company in trouble. Alright, so I have to go to the office as well, so keep that in mind. Definitely want to see this.
The odds-on favorite. If you're a betting man, who are you betting on for SummerSlam in a last man standing match? Brock Lesnar. Why? Because Roman Reigns defined his greatness by athletically beating down, smashing the opposition, pinning them, making them tap out in athletic competition. But we, for 20
I love the
years,
pathos
we
and drama of this
defined
stuff.
Brock Lesnar's legacy by annihilating people, by putting them down for good, by taking them out of action, by breaking their necks, by conquering streets, by ending careers. So if Brock Lesnar has to put Roman Reigns down for the count of 10, that's what Brock Lesnar is going to do. It doesn't matter to Brock Lesnar if he puts Roman Reigns down for 10, or if he's so violent he puts Roman Reigns down for 100. He doesn't care if he sends Roman Reigns to the hospital or if he sends Roman Reigns to the morgue.
Whoa.
That's not a man. That's a beast. That's a hog slaughterer. That's an annihilator. That is an avenging badass that wants revenge against my tribal chief. I'm
So-
going to give you my word on something.
So is he pushing
We are
Lesnar,
approaching 700 days.
or is he pushing
Roman Reigns as
pushing
the
Reigns?
champion. And Brock Lesnar, this is one streak you will not conquer. Because I will have Roman Reigns ready for you at SummerSlam to put you down. If I have to train Roman Reigns to stick his hand up your...
What? Stick your hand where?
and pull your heart out through that hole. That is what my tribal chief is going to do to something like you.
I'm not. I think she's okay. Like a 6.
Did you just say
So this is the guy, which is probably better to follow than me. If I'm on and he's on at the same time, I would suggest you follow him. 7. Yeah, I would give her a 7, maybe a 6. Yeah, sorry. Just not that attractive. She doesn't look smart or interesting either. So anyway, Rob Maxwell, the O is a 0. So it's a hacker elite speak. But I don't know, why would I have this? Image result for glycosylation. All right, S&P is coming back. Looks like we're gonna get stopped out. Shit. Shit. Yeah, it looks like we're in the money on our French stock, though. Good question. I don't know Rob that well. I met him many years ago. Not a colleague, I guess, was a fellow professional. No supplements, sorry. All right, so we're at 383, so I'm going to get out of this position. It just touched 383, so maybe I'll give it another second. But it doesn't look good. Good night, buenos noches, abrazos. Get that Spanish just right. Abrazos y besos.
Abrazos y besos.
Not bad.
Abrazos y besos.
Abrazos y besos. It's funny, Jeff Bezos, right?
Abrazos y besos.
Abrazos y besos. Alright, so we narrowly dodged the stop-loss death for now. Oh, yeah, time to go. I need to go to the office. Oh, come back up.
Order filled.
Alright, I'm in GameStop now.
Just sold U-puts. With that news, I do like that deal with Iron Source being an all-stock deal. I was reading through the terms. How do I look at it? Do I like the company? Yes. Would I want to own shares at a certain price long term? Sure. Small, of course. I'm not going in heavy. I don't go into heavy into anything right now. But I ask myself that, and then I find an agreeable strike. and especially when it's on red, and it pulled back the other day. And I sell some puts. I usually try to do 2 weeks out. I like the 2 weeks. 30 to 45 is a little too far, but 2 weeks is good. It gives me flexibility still, so I can roll out or have options there. But I like that time period right now. It's working. And I look at the options flow as well. That's just another element. I've just started really analyzing that. And I do look at that as well. So the fundamentals, the sentiment, looking at the chart, and so all of those different elements come together. And so that's where I'm at. So I don't want to take up too much time.
No, absolutely. You're all good. There'll be a lot more opportunities. We're going to make our way around the panel, and at any point, if anyone on the panel wants to come in next, just use that raise hand feature. I can definitely resonate with a lot of what you said there, Rosanna. Going back to the beginning, you talked about the biotechs, Labu, different plays there that you were making. We've definitely been talking about this a lot. We've been looking for relative strength in the market, and it's certainly been found in biotechs. So we watch a couple. We do a lot.
All right,
of
so we're out
pick of the week, play
of
of
the
week, that
S&P.
kind of stuff.
Why is it
LAD
do
has been getting
84
picked a lot
shares?
lately.
This is so
As people
annoying.
have seen the big runs having a little bit of a down drop here.
It keeps changing
this
it.
week, but still
So
almost
fucking
100%
annoying.
For the past month. Obviously, pretty much killing it, and maybe just taking a nice little breather here for a second.
Yes.
In addition, I know we talk a lot about the selling of premium, getting the data on your side of the ball. Kim talks about that pretty much every week with us. She comes in and talks about the calls that she's selling, how they're going against her different plays, how she's offsetting them. So I think we're all kind of in the same boat here. I'm a little less bullish on this market than I think it sounds like you are. I agree that I'm not sure exactly where we're going, but I still feel like we haven't set the. I don't think the low was what we saw at 362. I do believe that we can go lower than that.
Oh, absolutely. I apologize. I'm very excited. I'm not necessarily that. I'm more directionally neutral. I have my shorts. I have my.
It looks like my stop loss is just gonna barely just screw me. Should I re-enter? What do you guys think?
I have a portion of shorts. I have some longs, and I have cash. My
Market's looking
long
good. What do you
position is
think?
cash.
Buy, sell,
I
buy,
use
sell.
that to sell puts. So
What
I'm
do you guys
using
think?
cash secured puts. So I'm using that money for the puts. But yes, I apologize if I come across as too, but I'm very excited. I think that I see light at the end of the tunnel. Could be 12 months, could be 6 months. We don't know. Could be a long, drawn out downtrend. I'm grateful that we are trading somewhat sideways for now, for this week. Right now, we went down the other day, but we're stabilized. I guess the word is more stabilized right now. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. We're in a downtrend, regardless. We're in a downtrend. Until the trend changes, we're in a downtrend. But I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic. I see opportunities in all types of markets, so I see opportunity. I'm excited about Labu, and I'm excited about biotech overall. I think there's something there, so it's exciting.
Okay, perfect. Love it, Rosanna. Great. I feel like we got a really nice intro to you being on our spaces. So excited to hear more from you as we keep it rolling.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, let's hit on some of the other members of the panel. First, Enrique, I saw you pop in and came up. Did you have some thoughts you wanted to share, anything, or just hanging out?
Just hanging out. Really excited to hear from all the great women on Wall Street. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, well, let's pop it right over to Kim then, who had joined up after Rosanna. Kim, I know you have some similar styles as well. Would be very interested in hear what moves you're making, thoughts on the market here, and then we'll bring it over to Swing Pony.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I think 2 weeks ago, I said that I was doing Microsoft. I called out this trade. Of course, I'm not a day trader unless I'm selling or buying futures for the most part, like Sim is. I know she's not here today, but I'm more of a swing trader doing options 30 to 45 days out, but that doesn't mean I'm not putting on a trade several times a week. And a couple of weeks ago, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, I called out that I was selling a 265 Microsoft call against my stock, and I was buying the 250, 240 put spread for a credit. not for a debit, but for a credit. I think I said at that time I
Oh, we're gonna
got
get
a
stopped out again.
$55 credit on it. And anyway, that came in really nicely yesterday, and I took it off on that big morning drop.
How'd I get like the worst price possible?
Low Microsoft went to about 245 yesterday. It keeps bouncing right off of there, and you know I took in $900 on that trade, and that was over 2 weeks. So I had sold my
That's crazy. How'd I get that price?
out a month when we talked. So it was the July 29th. So it was still a month out, but it was obviously a lot shorter term trade than that. In fact, the premium on the 265s collapsed to being 95% in the money. And then that put spread ended up being about, I think I got it off for about 70% of total, like what I could, you know, if it like expired at the full amount. And so, you know, I made that in 2 weeks, and then that is money that is bringing down the cost basis of my Microsoft stock. So that was pretty exciting because I just had a feeling of, you know, I don't know, feelings aren't really good to talk about in trading. However, when you get to know how a stock moves, and when you know, see the markets gyrating like this, and you see big run-ups, typically you can sell those big run-ups. Also, as I've talked about before, you know,
Look at that big ass. Look at that big juicy booty. Look at that big ass.
That's a deep fake, is my guess. Is that supposed to be AOC?
About kind of how to feel the market too, if that makes sense. You sometimes, you know, you see where the technicals are, but you also see, hey, this is way extended. I use the Bollinger Bands a lot, MACD, when I'm looking at selling my calls against my stock, but I also, if it just has a big run up, I sell those calls. Also, I think we talked about last week, Wolf, that not everybody, you know, if you're retail.
Hi, it's Vegas. I'm just letting you know I'm taking a QQQ call. 292s or 72 cents.
Thank you, Vegas.
And good morning.
Yeah, I love Vegas day trades. I think I'm going to try that with you. You said 292, right? For today?
Yeah, they were 218, so it's like I'm looking for like a flush reversal here.
So I think we talked about, Wolf, that we have a lot of retail traders, and some of you all may be younger traders, and maybe you don't have, you know, $25,000 to put into Microsoft stock. You know, I'm a little bit older, so I've been building my portfolio for a while. And so not to, you know, to make sure that I'm also giving plays to everybody in the group, a way that you can still play if you wanted to, covered calls like I sell, is you can buy a call. Usually if you wanted to act like stock, you buy it 70% in the money, so a 0.7 delta, and then that acts like stock. Now that's not something you're doing short term, because if you do it short term, you know, the gamma risk, the, you know, theta, all that is going to go against you often. However, if you wanted to own synthetic stock, essentially, you would go farther out, and I usually say 6 months to a year, so you're buying leaps, and then you buy that way in the money call, like a 0.7 delta, and then you can sell calls against it, you know, at the money, or 0.3 deltas.
All right, while I listen to this, I'm gonna listen.
You know, control essentially 100 shares of Microsoft stock, but for way, way less money. Now, I'm not saying to do that right now, because I don't know that Microsoft is done going down. I don't know that any of us will know, but the tech stocks have taken such a big drop.
I really like this short. I'm gonna double one more time.
Play 100 shares by buying.
But I'm gonna do it at a higher price.
And then selling short-term calls against it. So I know Rosanna does that quite quite a bit. She buys leaps. I'm not sure what delta you buy those at, Roseanne.
Just hope I don't get filled.
If you buy deep in the money, then it's acting like you own those shares of stock. So that's another way to do it if you don't have the capital and you're like, I would really like to own Microsoft, or I'd really like to own Tesla's a little bit harder. Just, I don't know, it's so volatile, but you know, if there's different.
All right, I'm not going to get filled. That's good. That's my stop loss. I like it. I like it. I don't think the market. I think we're going to go back to 380
We've kind of flattened out here. Then
or lower, much lower.
you can buy that
I think we fill the gap.
And I've done that with a couple, like Zoom, though I'm underwater on that one. What else did I do it with? Zoom and I don't know.
I'll just jump in for 1 second. I get as close to at the money or in the money right now. I'm not buying leaps that much right now, but yes, exactly what you're saying is what I do. It's safer. It's better in this market. I go higher delta. So just to add, I agree with you. Yes.
Yeah. It's especially if it's a stock that maybe I don't want to own long term. But it doesn't mean I don't sometimes do that with stocks I do want to own long term. Like if I don't want to put another $15,000 of capital towards Apple, but I think it's going to have a move over the next few months. Like I saw some 165 calls go out on Apple for October. I don't really feel like I really don't want to buy those 165 calls. I was thinking of doing a call spread, but the other option is to buy that, you know, January 70 Delta Apple.
Well, I'm about to get filled. I might double down.
Order filled.
Against it. And so there really is something for everybody. I think even if you have less capital to work with, there is still a way to get into some of these stuff. So it's just going to look, if you bought the January, yeah, there's still, the thing is, everything's still pretty expensive because the VIX is elevated. And there's one rule of thumb to think about if you're not day trading, like Vegas and Sim, is when the VIX is high, you sell premium. When the VIX is low, you buy premium. You buy calls or puts. So when the when the VIX is elevated,
You sell vol.
As the VIX collapses,
You buy vol.
money is going to get sucked out of calls and puts really quickly. If you're not just day
All right, looks like we got to get stopped out again.
Like maybe short term. So if VIX starts collapsing and you're buying longer dated premium, that's probably not the best strategy overall. It would be better to sell that premium. And then when the VIX starts to collapse, you're better off. And this is like a general rule of thumb, you know, you're better off buying the premium or doing a call spread or a put spread.
Perfect. Appreciate the insight there. Yeah, I think it's a strategy which more and more people are getting a little bit used to now, going against, and it's becoming easier with some of these names as they stock split as well. It's become a little bit more affordable to do it.
Order filled.
Yeah, it could be a great
All right. It is what it is. Can't get them all, right, guys?
Or if you're looking at it and you're like, hey, SPY really hasn't actually done anything in like a month, right? So this is a good time to sell and just use this lack of price action to your ability, because if you look at SPY, it's kind of just doing this like winding pattern, and eventually it'll probably break out one way or the other. It doesn't look like it's quite there just yet, especially on a Friday.
All right, let's get back to work.
Go ahead and take some of the premium that you're asking for, but then yeah, I think a lot of people get confused with an understanding of.
Yeah, volume on SPYs doesn't matter that much because you got futures volume too.
Yeah, it's really important.
I think I got rid of the volume bar.
Important Greeks are your theta. That's your time decay. How quickly does the premium come out?
Oh, this is pretty cool actually.
Is $500. And the farther out you go, the less affected you are by the time decay. So if you're 21 days more out, statistically, it doesn't mean you're not losing theta, but you are losing it every day, but you lose it slower. And also is your probability. learning about delta, because delta is basically probability, and that's a probability that that call will expire in or out of the money at expiration. So those are the two Greeks that I think if anyone that's listening right now just read up on those and took an hour to look at what is theta and what is delta. And on the platform I use, it tells me the probability of success of my trade. So I always try to, not always, most of the time, I try to do trades that are going to give me more than a 50% probability. So 60 or 70%, you know, hopefully I can get it towards 70%. And that means that, you know, 7 out of 10 times that trade is going to go my way. And then that's pretty good odds, right? Because you're going to figure that there is that, you know, few times it doesn't, but you want to be more right than you are wrong.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's kind of making yourself into the bank or the casino or anything on that end, right?
Market's coming back down.
House always wins.
Come back down.
Become the house. Awesome, Kim. Anything else from that on? I want to get Swing Pony into the conversation too.
Nope, not all. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Great stuff there from Kim. Make sure that you are checking her out, especially if these are option strategies that this resonates with.
BRB.
Swing Pony, excited to have you on our space. Love to hear about the market today. Anything that you're looking at trading.
Good morning. How are you?
Living the dream. How are you?
Living the dream. Good. Thanks for having me on. It's an awesome group of ladies, and it's always good to learn about everyone's different style and strategies, and always something to learn from everybody, so I appreciate that. So a little bit about me and my background. Much like a lot of the COVID retail traders, you know, I started around the same time, and I was huge into small caps. Very much a small caps swing trader. That was my bread and butter. And Mara was actually my first trade, like ever. I think like in the twos, and so that one, every time I come back to it, is like very special to me. But from there, you know, much like everybody who was trading small caps at the time, you know, the IWM was constantly on the verge of a breakout that was not coming, and I eventually had to learn to adapt with the market, and that's where I got into playing options. And that has been, you know, a journey that's been full of ups and downs, and I'm, you know, still learning every day and having a blast with it. But, you know, I just absolutely love that you can get exposure to bigger names that you might not be able to buy shares of. You know, like any account size can have an opportunity to, you know, profit off of Microsoft or Meta or, you know, whatever some of the names are that maybe you couldn't afford to purchase shares of before. So that's been, you know, a fun journey. I do host a podcast with Drippy Too Hard. I don't know if anyone, I'm sure you're familiar with him. We have a show that comes out every Sunday where we just discuss different option strategies and risk management and the state of the market and all of that fun stuff. So that's been a really good experience. In terms of my personal trading style, so I have transitioned a lot to day trading. I do love the peace of mind that comes with swing trading. It's just in a market where it feels like we're gapping up and down every single day. It's just not my comfort zone to hold a lot of positions overnight. So I've definitely been more of an in and out kind of trader. And really what I've enjoyed doing a lot as of late is trading SPX. If you've never traded SPX, it's sort of like the crack cocaine version of SPY. So tread very lightly. You'll see, you know, people post 1,000% gains, 3,000% gains. And my advice to anybody who sees something like that is don't bank on that. Don't think that's going to be your normal. Don't shoot for that every day, because just as quickly as you can make money, you can deplete your entire account. But my strategy in trading SPX that has really worked well for me is I really like trading 0DTs much later in the day, once that theta is sort of eaten away at the premiums and they're a lot more affordable. And what I really like to do is anytime I'm trading options, I always have the chart of the underlying up, and then I also have the chart of the options contract. So I like to see how the options contract is moving in tandem with the underlying. And this is a really, really great way to also sort of gauge your risk reward, because just like the chart of an underlying stock, you can see, you know, sort of where are we basing with the options premium? How is it moving? What is my risk reward? Am I buying it?
Glad I didn't short.
So sort of looking at patterns within the charts of the options contracts themselves. And what I like to do with SPX is if we've had, you know, sort of a nice range day, or being able to find out where our highs are, where our lows are, where we might bounce or get a double bottom or a double top. I like to go in there and, you know, look at contracts that ran really well earlier in the day and put sort of a low ball bid right below the base level if it looks like it's an area that we can bounce off of. And that's a really, really great way to get a strong risk reward as long as the pattern is there. So that's one of the techniques that I really, really like with SPX. Wolf, you play SPX at all?
I play more spot than SPX just because those movements just give me the shift of the shutters. Yeah, it makes me look crazy in a lot of times. But I certainly watch it, and I watch the live trades and I follow along with it very often. I just I take a little bit less volatility on them, but those moves have lately I've seen a ton of people having a lot more success.
Oh, Lord help me.
Well, for me, the reason I like it is because if you're going to get in and out of the trade, you can get a big percentage move on SPX and not hold that long. But like you said, the volatility, I mean, there are days
Gamer, what's up, Gamer?
I don't like this fight or flight feeling, so I try to make sure that's where sizing matters, right? You don't
Size always matters.
A big position into SPX, because I think the beauty of options is you can get such bigger gains than, you know,
such
trading
bigger
comments.
gains.
And so if you're constantly able to see much bigger gains, you really don't have to put as much capital up front, theoretically, right? So, you know, with SPX, which is super volatile and those percentages move like crazy, I make sure that I'm not oversizing in a way that's going to give me a panic attack when one tiny move goes one huge percentage up in either direction. So I think that's a good point, and that's very important to keep in mind, is to size accordingly, because it can move against you fast.
Yeah, absolutely it can. So with today's movement, are there any specific names outside of SPX that are on your radar?
Yeah, so I am looking at, I really like Beyond.
No.
Beyond is sort of holding that flag, and it actually just moved up pretty nicely while we were on this
No,
call.
you don't.
I like Beyond holding that $30 level, and I think we have some nice potential movement to, you know, that 35.50 range. So, you know, whether it's an intraday trade or even like a potentially, you know, swing maybe a few weeks out, I think Beyond has potential as long as it's holding above 30. So I really like the movement on that. I've also been watching Boeing. Boeing, we did break past that resistance around 142.
Stupid Hong Kong company.
Some really, really nice moves. We are seeing a little bit of a pullback today, but you know, if we get any opportunity to go back to 142 area and sort of hold it, I think that this has potential for continuation, and we do have a nice little gap fill coming up. So Boeing is definitely on my radar. And then the other one I'm watching is MU. We did get past that $60 level of resistance. We almost hit the gap fill today. We are seeing the pullback, but I want to see, you know, sort of how we close, because I do think this could be a nice play, you know, as long as it's holding above 60 for continuation. But if it breaks below 60, then we've got more room to the downside again. So those are sort of the three that are on my radar: Boeing, BA, Beyond, and then MU.
Hong Kong. This is Hong Kong, my friend.
Neither have I, yeah. Well, that's the funny thing, is there's all these names that I hadn't looked at in so long. Even like Mara, I actually traded last week, which had a beautiful But it's kind of funny to be able to revisit some of these that are making moves again
You're right, Freddy.
and sort of step away.
And you're right to queue.
Morning with Boeing, and those were calls. I think they were taken actually during our space with Seeking Alpha. I think Paper Gates took them. And then MU, we certainly do look at here and there. They've been following the rest of the semis on that lower pattern.
Gonna have to make a Beyond Meat model.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah. And then I'm keeping an eye, because we do have, you know, in terms of the state of the market, for me, it's
10
very
cent.
much a one day at a time market still. I think it's very, you know, we get gung-ho to say, like, oh, we had a green day and suddenly everyone's bullish. Oh, we have a red day and, you know, the bears are all I told you so.
Okay, so I have
one day at a time market.
Q1.
I mean, who knows? I do think we have room, like you said before, to go much
Value-added
whether that's
service.
after, you know, a bigger relief rally or whether it comes, you know,
I
into
got
earnings. I don't know.
online
But,
advertising.
that's why I'm taking more of a
I
day
got
trading mentality with this
fintech.
market, because you just
So I'm
never
guessing
know
value-added
day.
service
Like I said, we do have earnings
is
for like Microsoft
the
and
games.
Apple later this month, and I think it'll be very, very interesting once
This
we get into
is
tech
WeChat.
earnings to see what that looks like and how it affects the market. So my thing is just always stay on your toes and don't get too gung-ho and biased in either direction, because that's a recipe for a shake-up.
Absolutely. And if you're in any live plays right now, or if you do take anything, definitely be sure to call it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. And speaking of live plays, calls called out by Vegas have been all over the freaking place, Vegas. Those 292s. They've been going crazy.
They're so volatile, and you know, I'm just gonna be patient here and wait for this to go. I mean, this is obviously a flush play, and you know, they did rip this morning towards 218. So I love what Sinfoni was talking about, where you know she likes to get things like dirt cheap and you know center crusher. So definitely like these kinds of setups as well. Sometimes you know they take a while to work, and you guys be able to handle the pullbacks too. Because you know sometimes when they pull back.
Yeah, I'd probably turn bullish on SPY, but I have plenty of long exposure with Google and GME, so I'm not sure I need more long exposure.
100%.
It takes time because it's very tricky.
Well, and sometimes I've noticed.
Oh, here's the breakdown.
You know, when I take a trade and I actually have to step away and I don't have to micromanage it, that's when the run can actually really take place proper. Like, you know, set your stops and all that. But sometimes when you're sitting there looking at, especially as day traders, I think a lot of us have become primed to those smaller time frames. You know, the 5 minutes, some people are on the 1 minute. And when you're micro analyzing every single move, you can shake yourself out a little bit. So sometimes I find when I step away for a little bit, as long as I have my, you know, orders placed to manage the risk, the move can actually play out without me bringing in that hesitation. But yeah, as long as the support's there, I think your risk reward levels are really beautiful when, you know, you can get something much cheaper and just allow it to play out.
I love the variety of styles that we've had shown on this space, and it's obviously been very all based around options, but it feels like each one of you has a very different style to the way that you're going about either trading or selling, intaking. There's so many different ways to play with the market here, especially in a market condition like this where everyone's a little bit timid. So I think it's very helpful. So Swing Pony, really appreciate you coming out and sharing that.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, I want to stop by Vegas, then we'll hit Jessica as well, and then your stock market news, or also my friend Michael, who's here with Seeking Alpha, want to chip in. Happy to have them. Of course, as always, to anybody in this space, at any point if you want to speak or you have a trade or anything, just throw up that hand and we'll go right to you. So we're not ignoring anybody. Just use that little hand raised feature. Okay, Vegas, let's stop by you. I know that you've been trading since the open. What's looking good? What's not? What are you up to now?
Excuse me. Very volatile morning. Had traded AMD at $8 calls from 27 cents this morning. We grabbed them when the market just really pulled back here at the $8 calls. And they went all the way to 60 cents, so I'm not in them right now. So I'm definitely going to keep watching AMD though. And Microsoft, we traded this morning 260s at 46 cents. And Meta, 160s at 225. So those are working out quite well. And just waiting for QQQ.
I just want to say I took a short MNQ. Not saying anyone should follow that, but just want to say I did go short the MNQ. Just a baby one.
So MNQ, for those who are unfamiliar, so NQ is the NASDAQ futures, and then MNQ is the miniature NASDAQ futures, right? And then you're going short that.
Yeah.
Micro.
Yeah,
So you're going
that.
short QQQ effectively on a smaller size contract.
I kind of went opposite of Vegas, but I'm just doing this for this 8 to 8. Well, I'm on Pacific time, so for me it's 8 to 8:30 is when a lot of times there's a pullback. So if I can get 50, 100 points.
Shouldn't this be down? If I'm down.
Enrique, you have a comment there?
I actually want to have a separate question if I could ask the ladies. It's up to you though.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I took a weird speculative position just now. I bought a little GameStop, not because I'm like some weird GameStop addict person like there is out there. I guess, do they have a name for themselves? They're not apes, are they? I forget. But I bought it because there's a 37% rebate offered on my brokerage if you lend the shares out. Do you think that's a decent move?
So which brokerage is it?
This is Interactive Brokers. So if you buy GameStop stock, they offer you 37% annual percentage, which seems too good to be true. Pretty exciting opportunity. I don't know if any of you ladies ever lend stocks out or borrow stocks or whatever. Just kind of curious what you think.
Yeah, I'll put that to the floor. Vegas, any thoughts? I know that you've traded GME a good amount.
Yeah, I really trade GameStop really on that options. I don't actually have GameStop stocks, so can't really comment on that. Like what he was asking, so I'm probably not the best person to ask on that one. But I can't really answer that question actually. So I would say, who would probably know really well is probably Steven from Trade Ideas, because I think he's got those shares.
Yeah, there might be a few that could weigh in on that. I think it's interesting. I don't know how they're exactly offering 37%. Is that some type of, because I've only seen numbers like that in like yield and stuff like that. Do you know exactly how they're going about creating that 37%?
Yeah, so when the stock is hard to borrow, right, there's a competition by short sellers to get the borrow. So they are all tripping over themselves to borrow your shares to sell them. So they're willing to borrow your shares for 37% fee. So as long as they are borrowing shares from you, right, you're charging them to borrow your shares. You're lending them. And it's, 37%. It's only 3% a month, right? So if they are borrow your shares for a month, you don't make that much money. And the borrow rate could drop at any time. At the moment, it's 30-something%, but that doesn't mean it'll be that tomorrow or the next day, right? So there's a risk that if the stock goes down, you might collect a couple percent. Oh, that's great, but if the stock goes down 20% really fast, then you don't really make much money. But I thought it was kind of fun as a speculative play. The stock's held over 100 for a long time, and it does seem like they have that community support from Reddit or Wall Street Bets. And I don't know, an extra 30% a year sounds great, but obviously I'm worried that if the stock drops to like 50 or 80 or whatever, that sure, I might make 30% for a few months, but I'm still going to be a bag holder on the equity. So anyway, I don't want to take up the time though. I know we want to talk to all these great, intelligent women.
Really quick, I'll add, I think this is what the apes are upset about, is that's where the stock's being manipulated, and this is the big question, right? Not that you're manipulating it, but just that's the overarching, like, loaning shares out that don't exist. That's one of the big controversies amongst that group, just as a little side note here.
I think it's interesting because I've only really seen it done with crypto where people were doing those loans, and I think that made a little bit more sense, right? Because people were paying high APY for liquidity, essentially, but I'm not sure exactly how it works with GameStop.
This is simple though. So on any big broker, you can allow your broker to lend your shares, and give them out to people who want to short them. They charge a fees depending on how hard it is to borrow and if the shares are affordable or not. And they take a small cut and pass on the bulk of the interest to you. Like with GameStop, if for me right now to take a shot, let's double check how much I'm paying. So IBKR right now has 66,000 GameStop shares that I can short, and I will pay a 38.78% APY just to borrow these shares to short. And I think end of the day, the person who the shares are owned by will net around 37% APY, and plus divide that by 365 plus multiply that by number of days that you will actually hold. That's how they pay you.
Okay. Yeah. I hear it. I guess it's with shorting and lending. I've seen lending. I just haven't seen it at those APYs. But someone.
No. It all depends, right? If you go with Apple, you might make 80 bips, 100 bips a year. Amazon, 100 bips. But Redbox, RDBX, right now, I think I was trying to get the short last month. They were charging 750% a year for me to short that, though. They didn't make a lot of sense to short that. Even now, RDBX, you can lend your equity for 450% a year, but again, I do see 95% downside on that name, so I would not go buy that just to lend my shares. But hey, if you want to do that and you don't care about the fundamentals for some reason, you can do this.
Yeah, well, what I'd say there, Martin, is I know also GameStop has their split coming up. So I don't know exactly, based on the user base, that may give you a little bump upwards. But I would say also, it is kind of hitting the 200-day here. It doesn't look terrible from a TA perspective. You've kind of pointed out the base that it's been building out. It actually is sitting right on top of, if you go back to, I think, the anchored COVID from the highest volume day back in January 26, we're sitting like right on that line right there. So a lot of people who were buying during the craze are not super underwater at this point. It looks like the majority of them are pretty much flat, is kind of how I would put it. So
I just want.
Hey Wolf, I want to say I'm out of MNQ. I just $75 in that 2 minutes. It just took a drop. Just FYI, if anyone followed it. But that was fast.
Very nice. Nicely done. I appreciate you posting it.
I do day trade.
I wanted to add one more quick thing, which is I see Beyond is actually, they're willing to pay 85% to short the stock. And it's very hard to borrow. So it just shows you that everybody's shorted. It's really crowded. And when Gergovin mentioned GameStop only has on Interactive 60,000 shares, like I want to eat that all up because that's, that's when shorts can't own stock anymore. They have to short stock anymore. They can't find any borrow. You'll owned it out, and now you have a short squeeze to some extent. So Beyond Meat looks like a short squeeze candidate too. Of course, I think the consensus there is that their fundamentals are really challenged. They have a lot of issues. But again, 80% a year to borrow, to lend out Beyond Meat, that's kind of crazy.
Yep, Beyond right now it's 86, and they only have 28,000 shares to short on IBKR. And usually, as a short seller, IBKR tends to have the most of these available, like basically the best trades and the most shares. If IBKR doesn't have something to short, there's a good chance no one else does.
Right. Okay. Shorting aside, because I don't think too many of the participants in the space are going to be shorting GameStop at the moment.
We're buying it.
I want to bring in Jessica. Jessica, I know that we were having some technical issues.
This guy.
Is everything working now?
Yeah, I think it's working. I couldn't hear the moment I became a speaker. I stopped being able to hear anything that was happening, so I had to hop back out and in again.
Okay, well, glad it's working, and we'd love to hear some of what you have been watching in the market and any general thoughts or approaches that you've been using to trade lately.
Sure. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. It took me a while this year to kind of find my footing. Trading, this, like many people, this is my first real bear market. I mean, I was around in 2018, but I'm not, and 2020, but I'm not counting those, you know? I mean, an extended bear. So it took me a while to find my footing. Early in the year, I was just getting I was just getting chopped, you know, death by 1,000 cuts, a couple bucks here and a couple bucks there. I also tried 30 to 45 DTE options, but and people, I know traders who've been very successful in those, but it just didn't work for me. I couldn't. I need more immediacy than that. So I've kind of settled. I've kind of settled on weekly short puts, which I sell on volatility, and that's been working for me really well. I am using options margin. You don't have to, but I do have still.
I just washed my hair.
I
It's
do have
some kind of
still
knot.
some outside gains from the past bull market that I am leveraging to sell the weeklies. My approach is typically I'm looking to, unless something exceptional happens, typically I'm looking to lock in by Tuesday at close. Occasionally, if I sell first thing Tuesday morning because it's deep red and I'm up 50% by, within an hour, I'm just going to take that gain and tomorrow's another day. But typically I'm looking to lock in by Tuesday close and then hold through expiration. I do occasionally, like for something unusual, like maybe a massive earnings drop, or somebody cuts guidance, I might hold through. I might do a 2-week option and hold through Monday, but that's unusual. Typically, I just, my goal is okay. So it's a little bit stressful on Tuesday and Wednesday, but by Thursday and Friday it should be a breeze because I'm going for a really low delta. I would rather sell more puts at a lower delta. So typically, I'm looking for a delta of of 0.1, which again is very low, but we're talking about weeklies. Things happen, and worst case scenario, you own a stock, but that's not my goal. So I'm looking for a pretty comfortable margin of safety. And that's
what are the other metrics you're looking for besides delta?
Sure. Mostly I've mostly been trading Tesla because the beta, because it's the high beta, without being,
I forgot to buy some Tesla.
The highest beta growth stock. So typically, I'm trading Tesla, and I've gotten to know that pretty well. Like I'm sure a lot of traders here, but it gets a little bit trickier if you're going to be trading growth stocks, because they can look really oversold and then drop another 20% the next day and you get gray hair. So with growth stocks, I am being significantly more cautious. I don't want a stock that looks just a little bit oversold. I want it to be dramatically oversold. And you do have to do the math and calculate, well, how far below this, I like to do the math anyway, what percent below the 9 EMA is this stock? Because some of these growth stocks, like we all know, are down 90%, and 30, like a 30% move in either direction can be a blip on the chart. So for those, I am very cautious. One deep red day in a row isn't enough. I'm looking for multiple deep red days in a row if I'm going to hold the option for several days. For a day trade, for a day trade, I would be less cautious, but typically I would be looking to hold that for a few days. So for those, I'm looking to, if there's a growth stock I think is, I think might be worth selling a put on, I'm looking for a very high IV. I think UPST, that guidance cut, it was a Friday, it was beautiful. It was like 330% on Friday.
Damn.
And
Beautiful.
that was something I would consider a great opportunity because there's only the one day to get through. But I would be looking for that stock to, like anybody else, if I'm going to sell the put, I'm also looking for it to at least be within a base, because those stocks can drop, you know, just because it's down 14% doesn't mean it can't hit 20.
Yeah, there's some great points there. Are there any specific names, before I move on, I want to bring in a couple others. Are there any specific names right now that are, besides Tesla, that are kind of keeping on your radar?
You know, Tesla is what, you know, Tesla's been my bread and butter lately, but earnings season is coming, obviously, so that's my jam. So I'm going to be looking for, you know, I follow literally dozens of growth stocks, so I'm going to be looking for any growth stocks that have, you know, that are down double digits, preferably more like 15-20% on earnings. Those are, you know, those are the stocks that I will be looking to trade. And again, you still want to make sure, you know, you still want to use your technical analysis. Just because it's down 20% doesn't mean it can't drop another 10. It's unlikely, but you still want to have, you know, you still want to be careful because, you know, if you're not looking to own the stock, I mean, those growth stocks, look at now. I mean, now I thought there was no way it would hit 400, and it got closer than I thought it would. And now is not what I would consider, you know, it's not a bad company.
Yeah, I got to go into the office in a minute, but what I'd really like to do is get Big Nick in here. I don't know if you guys know him. He's got a lot of market. He's got a lot of market insight. Is that his name? Big Nick? South Florida. He's one of the... Do I know this guy's... I thought it was Nick. No. Nick, Florida, Miami. Miami, is it Miami, Nick? He's got the goatee. He's the richest guy in Miami. He's got gold chains. He's a billionaire. You know who I'm talking about? He's on Cameo. Is it Nick? What's his name? I thought it was Nick. Hard Rock Nick. Thank you. That's it. He's a casino mogul. Look at these eyebrows. How come I can't play these? Soldier Boy. Retired Bitcoin billionaire.
This is by far.
So I'm always fake flexing, huh? I just got one question for all my haters at home. Where am I? And where are you? I'm in Miami shopping for a Ferrari with a $700 Fendi shirt, $7 million of ice around my neck, $1,000 Balenciaga sneakers.
Ooh.
And don't let me remind you about my 14 bank accounts. Where am I? And where are you?
So what's something you've never told your parents?
One time I was at a family reunion and I hooked up with my cousin.
Oh!
like the new facial hair? Click like below. When a guy has a nice shaped head like this, he probably has a nice shaped f***ing dickhead.
Oh!
Why is it that girls will date a guy that has half my wallet, half my dick, half my car? I still f*** a lot, but those girls that f*** me, they're afraid to be with me. If you look at all the richest men in the world, which I'm one of, 20 million in the bank, no bullshit, Google it. Suck on my f***ing testes.
I miss the Kroll show. That genie summoned from a bottle of Axe body spray is Hard Rock Nick. He's easily the world's most confident man under 6 feet tall who wears jorts. Barely a month ago, he was quietly being racist and sexist on the internet like every other white dude. When someone from Irony Twitter posted screen grabs of his Instagram, they got retweeted by some verifieds, and now he's got clout. Is there any way to speed up climate change and end this nightmare? Hard Rock Nick is a, quote, bad boy with money who likes yummy food, barely legal pussy, and all things luxury. Close quote. I've never seen someone flex so hard on the gram. Whether he's bragging about his 12 totally real Mercedes or the mansion he wants you to believe he lives in, it's no wonder a star was born. Except his exes didn't hang themselves in a garage. They got brain cancer, lethal injections, or turned gay. I'm telling you, you gotta follow this maniac. He also claims he's worth $350 million and has an 11-inch penis, which I know is BS, because there can't possibly be two of us out there. I want to find out what Hard Rock Nick's angle is, besides the ones in his facial hair. That's why I invited him to Culver City, birthplace of the No Flex Zone, in this week's Celebrity Profile.
Don't jam the shredder. 10 pages max. Hard Rock Nick, you have come to the right place. Anyone dealing with a major scandal comes to me.
And he fixes it.
What did Daniel Radcliffe do?
Exactly. If it weren't for me, Harry Potter'd still be on death row.
Give me your phone.